You're looking at the city of Toronto on this Sunday morning over the waters of Lake Ontario. With the new year upon us, many brave souls might be taking a dip in those very waters, as many charities are set to hold polar bear plunges in the coming days. As Canadians across the country jump into icy waters as part of those polar bear plunges in January, researchers are diving into the evidence of cold water exposure. The NiaHealth research team examined the health effects and safety of cold plunges with a focus on how people respond to cold exposure in real-world settings. One of the clearest findings found that cold plunges show their strongest support in athletic recovery, with evidence strongly supporting short-term recovery and performance after high-intensity or endurance exercise. With me now is Tanya, Keurs, nurse practitioner and co-founder and chief clinical officer at NiaHealth. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Now, if you could start by please breaking down for us what that research says about the health effects of cold water exposure. There's been a big push in recent years for supposed health benefits. Is that what you're finding in the study?
Such a good question. And you're right, with Canadians being so much increasing their interest in longevity and health span, there has been a lot of talk about, does cold water exposure have a place here? The NiaHealth research team took a look at that. And the biggest evidence really is for muscle improvement and athletic recovery after a hard workout. So if that's your goal, cold water exposure does seem to have evidence for it. There also is increasing interest on the impacts of cold water exposure on mood and insulin sensitivity. And that is still yet to be proven.
All right, and now that we know about some of the benefits, what risks do these cold plunges pose?
Again, really good question. At NiaHealth, we really encourage our members to understand their own health before jumping into a trend or a fad like cold water exposure. So if you have an underlying heart condition, if you're pregnant, a cold sensitive condition like Raynaud's, you may want to skip the cold water exposure. For everybody else, really important that you don't jump into that icy cold water by yourself. Have somebody around with you, have the ability to warm up quickly afterwards. Don't try to stay in longer. Longer is not necessarily better. And also consider getting medical clearance first to ensure that you're safe to take that plunge.
So for those that do decide to participate, what should they be paying attention to in terms of their bodies during the cold plunge?
I really encourage all of our members at NiaHealth to understand how they respond, whatever the intervention is. Some people will find that they get a bit of a euphoria after they jump into cold, or after they wade in or jump into cold water. What people will find is that they might have an increase in their breathing, their heart rate might go up, their blood pressure might go up. Also, pay attention to whether or not you're feeling quite cold. Remember to be able to warm up quickly afterwards.
Does it concern you that this polar bear cold plunge has become such a trend?
I think it is great that Canadians are paying attention to their health and that they're really interested in what can help them to feel better longer and to live well. What I think maybe is a little bit more concerning is when people are making decisions without all of the information that they need to make the best decision for them. At NiaHealth, we help people to track their biomarkers. We help people to track their response to their health interventions so that they can make the best decision for them.
All right, some really important things to pay attention to. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that is Tanya, Keurs, nurse practitioner and co-founder and chief clinical officer at NiaHealth.